Okay guys, so first of all, how do we actually check for dust on our digital camera sensor? Well, if you're actually out taking a lot of street photos or landscapes where there's a sky and you're shooting at higher apertures, say f8 and above, you will start to see a couple of dark blotches or shadows, particularly in the brighter areas of your shot, which will indicate dust on the sensor. It's never pleasant. One of the ways you can also actually check for dust on your sensor is to take a photo of a plain white wall, the sky, or as I like to do it because it's controlled, just a white background, full screen on my computer, which I can create in Photoshop easily enough. What I do is I set my lens to the highest aperture that I can shoot at, so f16. I then go to the lowest ISO possible. I use the slowest shutter speed to expose correctly, not overexpose. You don't want to do that. You need some contrast there. And I also just set my lens to infinity. So everything that could possibly be in front of, or on a front element of the lens, or on the screen, or whatever, is going to be totally out of focus. And the only thing that will actually be in focus in the shot is any dust that might be on the front of the sensor. Sorry guys, I live near an airport and these planes tend to make it into lots of my videos. Okay, so after seeing a little black spot pop up in some of my images, I've taken a check image with just a plain white screen that I've created in Photoshop, and there we go. There's the offending dust and I want rid of it. Alright, this is where I'm going to speak specifically about Leica, because there's a lot of options out there for cleaning your sensor. You can do a wet clean with sensor swabs. I do not recommend doing that on a Leica rangefinder camera for a few reasons. First of all, the sensor in at least the M240 is actually very slightly curved, and as a result of that, fluid can pool. And also, each photo site on the sensor is like a little lens or a little hump on the sensor itself. And so sensor swabs tend to get caught up in that, and you don't want to risk having stuff left on your sensor. The other thing is that around the sensor box in the M240 there's rough material which has oil, paint, whatever else on it, and sensor swabs tend to pick up on that on the edges, and then that ends up on your sensor. So don't use a wet clean option. That's my recommendation. The other one, which as far as I understand is the method that Leica uses themselves, is with a gel stick, and that from what I understand produces really good results if you have stubborn dust on your sensor that you can't remove with what I'm going to show you here with a blower bulb. As long as the dust on your sensor is dry dust, and it was dry when it came into contact with your sensor, you should be able to remove it quite easily with a blower bulb, and that's great. It's really easy and it's safe. You don't ever actually have to come into contact with the sensor, and it's very effective for cleaning the M240 sensor. Obviously, to do this, you need to take the lens off, so you must have your body cap and a lens back cap here and ready. Make sure that the environment that you're cleaning your sensor in is nice and clean. This is my kitchen. It's the easiest room in my house to keep clean, and it's also nice and bright. I can see what I'm doing, and I can see if there's any rogue bits of dust or insects floating around. I have seen it before when someone was cleaning their sensor. They put the camera down to pick up the lens, and a little flying ant went into the camera and was never seen again, only on a picture as a silhouette. Totally wrote the camera off. So we've got our dust check photos, and we've seen where the dust is. Remember, on the sensor it's always going to be in the opposite position, but that shouldn't really matter for what I'm about to show you. So we go into our menu and we select Sensor Clean Mode. Make sure you are clean. Make sure the outside of the camera is clean so that there's no chance of you introducing additional dust onto your sensor. Just make sure there's no bits of dust floating around. You just want to minimise the chances of getting extra dust on your sensor, because that'll just make you sad. Now guys, something else that's really important, and a lot of people tend to make this mistake: do not open up your camera shutter using the bulb mode on your camera. That is asking for trouble, because when you're in bulb mode, the camera thinks it's taking a photograph, and so the sensor is charged, and charging the sensor creates more static electricity, which can suck more dust towards it, defeating the whole purpose of cleaning. Whereas if you use the camera's sensor cleaning mode, the shutter is open, but the sensor is completely off, so static electricity isn't as much of a problem. Hold the camera upside down, using your blower bulb to blow out any dust on the sensor. Now on the M240, when you've actually finished cleaning, just switch the camera off, and the camera will give you a few seconds to get out of there, put the camera down, and it will close off the shutter. Just return the lens to the camera, take another dust check shot, and you're fine.